That one is the, I think it's called the penguin.
The penguin?
Penguin or the rhino. I can't remember which one that is. And then the bad monkey in the middle and the spider monkey up at the top.
The spider monkey.
That's actually one that I developed.
The spider monkey?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And the, no, that's not the rhino. That is the penguin. So the penguin I was a part of. I didn't necessarily develop it. It wasn't my idea, but I was a part of that one. The bad monkey in the middle was already developed when I started. That was their first knife launch.
I got you. So he's going to be about like 15 minutes. So you want to go ahead and let's get like the pre-show going?
Yeah, sure.
You and me? All right, lead heads, welcome back to another episode of the Talking Lead podcast. As you heard there in the background, I've got a guest joining me. It's none other than our good buddy Brooksy, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in, Brooksy.
Thanks, man. Hey, lead heads.
Long time no see, man.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
You've taken a little break from the scene for a while.
That's right. That's right.
So I think we can see or hope to see Chris back in action soon, but he's just enjoying the retired life right now.
That's
we
right.
were talking about some knives. You heard us talking about some knives when we were at SHOT Show earlier this year. Diamondback Firearms, Chris was telling me that they purchased, was it the Southern Grind?
Yeah, Zach Brown's Southern Grind.
Yeah, a knife company, which Chris used to be a part of. And they had broke out some of their knives, and they were showing me some of their knives, and that's what we were talking about there when you heard that, the intro part of that. So, Brooksy, you are in Idaho, hanging out in Idaho.
Just outside of Boise.
Yeah, and you and I were talking about my recent trip to NRA. You didn't make it out there. Sorry we missed you.
Yeah, that was a bummer. Wish I could have been there.
Wish you could have been there too. It was a good time. You know, all our buddies were there, hanging out and having a good time. Of course, there were several lead heads that stopped by the booth, so it was great to see the lead heads stop by. We had Marco Vorbiv out there at the booth with his book, the AK-47 book that we've talked about several times on the AK Corner. He was doing autographs. If you had your book, you could bring it by and he would autograph it. I got mine autographed. I had him autograph it 2 times just to make sure.
Yeah. Once is good, twice is better, right?
Right, exactly. I don't know what I did with it, but it's laying around here somewhere. I'll post pictures of that one day. But we are gearing up, ramping up for our special guest. This is a special episode of the Talking Lead podcast. And if you've been paying attention to the social media, then you know who our guest is. And if you haven't, then you're going to have to stand by because we'll wait till he joins us to introduce him. You know, I'm sure he's slam jammed doing what do they call that? The junket tour, or, you know, whatever. All the interviews.
Oh man, just doing that whole tour is, I can't even imagine. That's got to be pandemonium.
Whatever the Hollywoodites call it, you know.
I don't know.
That's what he's doing. But our guest is going to be Jack Carr, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, he's probably about 10 minutes away from joining us, but
that is too cool that you got him coming on. He's a good guy.
It is awesome. And Chris has a personal relationship with him through one of your other good buddies that we've talked about on the show, Mr. Pratt. Chris Pratt. Is that what he is on the Instagrams?
Pratt. Yep.
Yeah, something like that. But I don't know what all. We're probably not going to have a lot of time with Jack because he is knee deep in this new book release, Only the Dead, and we're excited to have Jack on to talk about it. So we're going to keep him as long as we can, but we're not going to be stingy of his time. So I want to make sure that we're ready to go when he jumps on, and we'll just kind of let him guide the conversation when he gets on. But I think it's going to be a surprise for him to see you, Brooksy.
Yeah, we'll see.
See if he recognizes you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little more gray now.
Well, you should get that Hair Club for Men thing. It worked great on my beard.
Yeah, make the gray go away.
Right. So I was telling you, you and I were talking off air there, and our buddy, fellow leadhead Drew with Century Arms. Everybody knows that he was engaged, and he and the beautiful Morgan got hitched not this past weekend, but the weekend before that. And I was one of the groomsmen, so I didn't want to look too old. I was probably the oldest guy there, besides his older brothers and father, but I had to get some of that gray out, so I did color my beard. So there you go.
You hit that 50 mark, and that's what starts happening.
I mean, your hips go out. You got to get hip surgery. You got to start dyeing your hair.
Just don't fall down.
Right? Oh my gosh. So that was a good time. I was telling Brooksy, it was like a 4 or 5 day event. They really did it up. It's this awesome place just outside of Nashville. It's called 5-Star Retreat. If you guys ever get an opportunity to book an event at the 5-Star Retreat, you need to do that. It's got cabins. It's got like a main lodge area. It's got ponds. You even have a shooting range there. So it's a pretty cool place to hang out. So that's what I've been doing, Leadheads. And then, of course, all the NRA interviews and content that we got, we're cranking it out. We're getting it out in mass now. So be watching the YouTubes, because I think we've already dropped like 4 videos to YouTube. Our first episode from the NRA was dropped just a few days ago, and there'll be another one right after this episode. So pay attention, stay tuned, because we're going to be doing pre-shows for all those, and we've got big announcements that we're going to be talking about. Last episode, I told you to be on the lookout for our next big giveaway, and that is well underway as far as just getting everything together, getting it organized, and we're going to be able to talk more about that in an upcoming episode. So stay tuned for that. You're not going to want to miss it. Has something to do with 3 guns and a gun case and optics and flashlights and weapon lights and holsters and ammunition. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff in this thing.
Can't go wrong with that.
Just can't go wrong with that. So, Brooksy, what have you been up to? What have you been enjoying in life during your time off? I'm sure the family, you've been doing a lot of family time.
A lot of family. Got 2 of my boys living here. My oldest boy lives about 5 minutes away. He's coming over today with his kids, and then my youngest boy, he lives about 15 minutes away. So the 3 of us plus some, the rest of our family, we've been playing a lot of golf. And so now that the weather has turned, and we went from winter to spring to summer in about 1 week.
Just like that, huh?
Yeah. So we played in some pretty cold weather, but the last couple of weeks have been pretty nice.
It's been ridiculous here because it can't decide what it wants to do. It would go from 80 degrees for a couple of days, and then it'll drop down to like 40, and maybe 30 in the nights. And now it's back up. I think we're up in the upper 70s right now. So, but it's just, and my sinuses, you'll probably hear me sniff and snort. But my sinuses are all screwed up because of the weather change.
Yeah.
Plus, I think I got something at that wedding.
Hopefully something you can get rid of.
I don't know what her name was, but
all right. Yeah, they got shots for that. So I think
there's a shot for that these days. Like there's an app for that. There's a shot for that. Definitely. So I'll do a quick plug here while we're waiting on Jack. Make sure you go and support those that make this show possible. Like I said, NRA, we had Keltec sponsoring us again, hosting the lead quarters. They were the official lead quarters of Talking Lead during NRA. And they have got some great new products. If you haven't heard, they've got a new KSG 410 out, Chris.
Wow. Bullpup
410, the world's first Bullpup 410, by the way. Well,
if you can get some shells for it, that's amazing.
This if you can get shells for anything these days,
Right.
And their P50. Do you remember the P50 they had? That 5.7. Yeah.
Saw that at Shot Pro.
So they came out with a rifle version. So they've got the R50 now, and so you don't have to worry about the braces or any of that crap. And I don't even know where we are with the braces. I haven't heard an update on that. As far as I know, I guess there's you're still supposed to register them or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen.
No. So if anybody's listening to this.
Yeah, if anybody's listening to this, I don't have any, so.
Right.
I lost them on a fishing trip. Isn't that the?
They fell out of the boat.
They fell out of the boat. That's right. I don't know what happened to them. So go check out Kel-Tec, show them some love, and they're going to show you some love if you go to their website, use the code LEADHEAD. You're going to get 15% off anything in their pro shop. Now that's accessories, their swag, anything but their firearms. Firearms aren't included. No duh. But go and use that code. Got Mother's Day coming up. I mean, great place to go and get some Mother's Day presents, right? Kel-Tec.
Yeah. What mom doesn't want a new rifle?
Or, a Kel-Tec hat or shirt, or they've got flashlights. They've got all kinds of cool stuff there. Yeah. So go check them out, keltecweapons.com. And of course, our good buddy Dave over at Mission First Tactical, they have come out with a whole slew of new products this year that you're not going to want to miss. One of them being, and I thought I had it right here, is their new belly band holster.
Yeah,
got it right here. I got it right here. I just took my stuff out of it a minute ago. But Velcro, it's got this breathable material, so it's not like hot and sweaty up against your body. It's got room for your compact, a magazine, a light, a knife, and then it's got some administrative pockets here that zip that you can put money, credit cards. What else could you put in there? Shots, your shots. The possibilities are limitless. And then they came out with this new, oh gosh, I'll have to look it up, what they call it. But they've got a new holster that's coming out too, their Pro Series, and it uses rare earth magnets, Brooksy.
Yeah, I saw that. That was at NRA, wasn't it?
They released it at NRA. Yeah, they certainly did. And it's not out yet, but it's soon to be out. And it uses a magnet instead of those washers and screws for the retention. So you don't have to worry about losing those, retightening those. It's just a constant, consistent 11-pound pull with that magnet each time. So I'm looking forward to when they actually do the official release of that. And then that other new product is the free multi-mount platform. So what that does, it gives you the ability to mount your weapons, your lights, your medical kit on multiple surfaces. So it's got like a 3M sticky side, and then you can also do a Velcro type attachment for it. So if you want to have your gun or your equipment at the ready at your desk, maybe under your desk or in your car or in the bathroom, maybe you're in the shower and you want to go pack it in the shower. Great little place to store your firearm or your medical equipment there. Multi-mount platform is what it's called. And you can use the code LEADHEAD and get 20% off anything at Mission First Tactical. Any of their products, of course, it doesn't apply for things that are already on sale, but any of their regularly priced items, 20% off. And of course, our buddies at Seal One, Dwight, we had him on, and they released it at SHOT Show too, but at NRA, he actually had the product, the final product. They've got a new rod and cleaning kit. So for rifles, pistols, not just their CLP Plus now, you can do the whole kit with the rods. And what are those attachments called that you put on the end of the cleaning rods?
Those little cleaner attachments? The
little attachments, yeah. They've got multiple different attachments on those as well. And the code does work for those now also at seal1.com. Leadhead, 25% off the CLP. They're cleaning rod kits, anything there at seal1.com. And then, of course, on our AK Corner, we're going to be giving away, one of you listeners that participate, we're going to be giving away one of those every episode of the AK Corner, a CLP cleaning kit. And then also Mission First Tactical, we're going to be giving something cool away from them. And with all these new products, they've been mixing it up on what they've been giving you lead heads for cool giveaways. So make sure you listen to the AK Corner each and every month. So go and show our sponsors some love, because that's how we are able to bring this show to you each and every week, sometimes more, Brooksy.
That's right.
Sometimes more. And then we've got the video aspect of it now, too. We were able to set up some cool video at NRA thanks to our buddies at Student of the Gun.
Go.
I think we got somebody joining us here.
All right, what's happening?
Hey, Mr. Carr.
What's happening? Why is that?
I don't see you.
Can you see me?
I don't see you.
I don't see me either. I'm supposed to. First, it didn't open, and then now it opened. That's my.
There's a roof.
Yeah, but the camera's pointed right at me. That is the strangest thing. That is so odd. Yeah, that's the roof, but let's see.
Are you going to have to stand over the camera the whole time now, looking down at us?
Right in front of me. This is so strange. Let me see here.
You could do some pull-ups.
I'm going to change it to FaceTime cameras. See what that does. Well, there you go. We're in FaceTime camera.
Bam, looky there.
What's happening?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Doing great. I'm going to silence my mail. There we go. So that won't be buzzing. And full screen. There we go. What's happening? Good to see you.
Welcome in. Good to see you again, man. So,
when was the last time I saw you? Was it last book or the one before? Everything's kind of blended together into one long day.
Yeah, it was the one before that. So we missed In the Blood, but we did get you on the Savage Son, was it? No, Devil's Hand. Devil's Hand.
Nice. Awesome.
That's the one. But you've been slam jam busy, man. I understand.
It's been busy, but I feel extremely fortunate that there are so many projects in the works. So it's all great.
So I think you know my co-host here, Brooksy, Chris Brooks.
What's happening? Hey, what's going on, man?
Been a while, huh?
Good to see you.
Good seeing you. Looking good.
What are you doing these days?
No, I'm semi-retired right now, but yeah, I'm actually looking, so we'll see what pops up.
Gotcha.
He's on the hunt. What's that mean? Semi-retired?
Just means that you're still looking for a job.
Gotcha.
He's playing a lot of golf.
Playing a lot of golf.
That sounds like retired to me, playing a lot of golf.
That's
not a game. That's not a quick game of ping pong between interviews. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
That's true. That's true. So, are you at home or are you on the road? It looks like you're at home, maybe.
Yeah, this is home right here, and for some reason the podcast studio is out there. It's not working as well with the Wi-Fi for some reason. So this is the business office, and then I have another one over there where I do the writing. So it just helps to have a different spot where I do those things.
So you're not on strike today?
No, so I'm not part of the WGA yet. I think after this next spinoff series I would be, but still, it's pencils down on scripts for me too, just because the writers are down. So I'm gonna shift priority back to working on book 7. So the one after this, and there's plenty of projects for me to work on. So
you are a busy man. Busy man. So book 7, I mean, we haven't even talked about number 6 yet. So
right. That's
it's not even hit the shelves yet.
Go. Yeah, it hits shelves May 16th, but it's the longest one to date.
I know. Tell me about it.
Yeah, you can use this thing as a weapon or a doorstop if need be. But it didn't start off to be the longest. As I was writing, it just ended up being the longest.
I'm on 36.
Okay.
I'm on chapter 36 right now.
Look to see which.
Nantucket. We're on Nantucket.
Or on Martha's Vineyard.
Or Martha's Vineyard, yeah.
Well, yeah. There you go. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
So there's something getting ready to go down. So I'm excited.
Couple things going to speed up now. There's a couple scenes. Not the next one, but the next one, I guess. But the one after that, that's the most brutal, I think, scene I've written to date, or series of chapters that I've written to date yet. Anyway.
So for our listeners that are listening and our viewers, if you don't know who our guest is that just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, it's a New York Times best-selling author. It's the world's most dangerous author, ladies and gentlemen, the Prince of Prime, Jack Carr.
Awesome, man. Thank you. I like it. I like
Yeah.
it. Greg Gutfeld, he has to do that every night for every guest on that show. You know, he has to come up with some little zinger for him.
I couldn't do it.
Pretty good. That's pretty good right there.
Well, you can use that. Feel free to use that.
Well, if I use it myself, kind of, yeah. But someone else has to do it, I guess.
You can quote me on that. How about that?
All right. Awesome.
So the 6th series of the James Reece novels, we've got Jack Carr, Only the Dead, Leadheads. I've been posting on social media about it, so you've seen it. You've been anticipating this interview, and Jack, welcome in. We can't wait to talk about your new book.
Man, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, this is gearing up for book tour here that starts in a couple weeks. So,
and why is it Tennessee on there?
That's a good question for David Brown of Simon & Schuster.
That's my boy. I'll ask him.
Yeah, please do. Please do. I think we're trying to get to Nashville. We're trying to do a Nashville event at some point, and it just didn't make it in this time around because you have to kind of, once you have a couple that you have on your list, then you got to figure out the most effective and efficient way to get there throughout the day and do all that sort of a thing. So,
well, Nashville's easy. It's easy to get in from anywhere. There's no excuse. No excuse. Come on, David.
Come on, I'll talk to him.
Come on, so I'll help you guys arrange that too. We'll get it set up at Royal Range. We'll do like a big book deal at Royal Range.
Nice. Let's do it. I need to get on the gun again. I've been doing a lot of writing, but not enough shooting. I had to cancel all my hunts last year because there were too many things on the books.
That hurt.
I did some research down in Argentina. So I did get one hunt in, I shouldn't say. So I did get one really cool hunt down in Argentina. But then it ended up when I started writing the book, and you've already passed one of the places that I thought was going to be where Argentina was going to be in there. Spoilers away. But it ended up just not working out kind of geographically, and didn't end up. So it ended up being a different location in this novel, but I'll use Argentina again in the future. It's just such a great.
You always put that in your back pocket and use it for another time.
Exactly. That's what I did for the first one. Actually, first two. I used places that I had gone before because that first one I'm still in the military, still in the SEAL teams in my last year and a half, and so I've been to Iraq, been to Afghanistan, so obviously I can use those. Been to Los Angeles, okay, I can use that. And then the second one, I went to Mozambique, put boots on the ground over there because I thought it was so important for the storyline to actually spend some time there in the bush. So did that, but it also had to include some Ukraine action. And I'd been to Ukraine years earlier, before I was in the military. Been to Odessa, been to the catacombs under Odessa. So I used that in the novel as well. So oftentimes, if it's not a place that I've been or I'm going to do research, it's some place that I have been in the past. With the exception of Israel, last book, I really wanted to get to Israel. And that's the one regret about my time in the SEAL teams, is that I didn't do an exchange with the SEALs. And man, such a bummer, because I really wanted to do that, but then Iraq and Afghanistan kicked off, and so got kind of busy in those areas. But I'll go to Israel at some point. But as I was writing the last book, COVID was going on, and if you were trying to get to Israel and you weren't an Israeli citizen, it was very difficult during COVID. Changing things
forget about it.
Wasn't in the book in the cards. So so I did a ton of research, and then I sent the book to, that's the one, I sent it to a family in Israel that had 3 generations read it. So someone in their 90s, someone in their 60s, someone in their 30s, and they all came back and said they couldn't believe that I hadn't put boots on the ground in Israel. They felt like I must have gone there, and so that's their response.
I would have thought that you would have, with all the detail and you know, the streets and everything that you were describing. It's like, yeah, he's been there, no doubt.
I'll get back because it's in this one a little bit closer to the end, but I need to get over there at some point. It's just one of those places I've always wanted to.
We didn't talk. We haven't talked about this one either. In the Blood, the one prior to.
Yeah.
Of course, it leads into Only the Dead.
Yep.
And you want to talk a little bit about In the Blood, just kind of how it's going to tie into the new, because we don't want to do spoilers for this one yet. I think if people haven't read this one yet, too bad, so sad for them. Let's spoil.
Yeah, so In the Blood was a novel. It's my sniper-centric novel of violent resolutions. That's what I had as my guiding theme, my guiding principle as I wrote. Each novel has a theme that helps keep things on track, and I find very, very useful. So I wanted to write a sniper-centric novel, having been a sniper myself in the SEAL teams, but I didn't want to have it end up as the two snipers on opposite hillsides or in buildings, across some streets or whatever, that are searching for each other, searching. At the last second, the good guy, they find each other at the same time. Good guy shoots first and it goes through the scope. I felt like that's been done in screen and it's been done in books. So I needed to figure out a way to write a sniper-centric novel that didn't include that penultimate scene that people were expecting. So I wanted to lead people down that path and put snipers in position, or so they think, and then figure out a way to make it the winner of the confrontation, the one who outthinks the other, not outshoots the other. Not the one who's necessarily more patient or more skilled behind the glass, but the one who can outthink the other.
I love the way that you set it up too. It was genius. I'm not going to give that away. For people who haven't read it, but yeah, it was just like, oh, that's so brilliant.
and the end, like that cliffhanger type ending, the art to this is giving enough resolution where people feel like they've invested this time and you've wrapped up most everything, but then you leave that one little thing or a couple things that are a little ambiguous, just like you get to the end of a chapter and you want people to turn that page and go to the next chapter and keep them up all night. Well, same thing at the end. But at the end, you want to give enough resolution where it's okay, but leave them wanting that next book or that next season in a TV show, sort of a thing, or that next movie if it's a first movie in a series, or even a second or a third. You want that next one. So I tried to leave fans of the genre who have read different political thrillers, wanted in that last chapter to kind of lead them to a place where they think a certain thing is going to happen. That includes some snipers on a hillside also, and something James Reese's love interest, and then not do that. So that was part of that as well. So I had a great time writing that.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. This one ended up being a lot longer than I thought. I blew by. I thought it was going to be about 115,000 because I have that theme I talked about. I have the title in my head because I don't want to waste bandwidth worried about coming up with a title. And then I write these one-page executive summaries that I read and then ask myself, is this worth the next year and a half of my life? And if someone walked by, let's say a Hudson News in the airport, and pick this thing up and read this, would they be willing to invest time they're never going to get back in this story? And if the answer to that is yes, probably, then I go into the outline. And so I do the outline and then I turn that into the narrative. But in having done the outline and having done it 5 times previous, and this being the 6th one, I thought, this is going to be about 115,000 pages, 118,000 words. And then I blew by 115, blew right by 120, blew by 125.
You're just like, whoa.
Blew by a couple deadlines, that's just how long it took to get the story. That's how long it took. So I'm really concerned with.
It takes as long as it takes, right?
It takes as long as it takes to make the best book possible, the best product possible for readers who are never going to get that time back that they're investing in the pages or listening to this now in a book. So
what really makes your books good are the setups that you do. The deep background that you go into. And before you get, into the meat and potatoes of everything. So the setup you do really well in your books. And I think maybe you had a little longer setup in this one, maybe than in the previous ones. But again, it's paying off.
Thank you. Yeah, long setup in True Believer also. That's the second one. And that's the one where I thought it would be disingenuous to readers to just pick them up, drop them into a new scenario, and without dealing with the traumatic events of the first novel. That would have been like the smart move probably. And I half expected my editor publisher at Simon & Schuster to just cut the first quarter of that book or first third of that book. But she didn't ever mention cutting anything. So also like it because it avoided people being able to say, oh, look, one trick pony does a revenge thing in the US, now picks it up, drops it in Africa, next picks it up, drops it in Europe. So it was a different way to continue the story that I hadn't really seen before in these types of thrillers. So I love doing that, and then I love doing this one as well. But the setup takes as long as the setup takes, and you develop these characters, and I get to know them through dialogue. So on a paper, I'll have a list of all the characters, and I'll say so-and-so is like the head of Russian intelligence, so-and-so head of Russian mafia, because I need to see that their names don't sound similar.
They're similar, yeah.
It's tough with the Russian names, by the way. But then I don't really know their personalities until they start interacting with other characters. And that's where I really get to know them, is through that dialogue. But I don't know if that dialogue is going to take chapters or a chapter or a paragraph or two. I just don't know that until I get into it. So in this one, it just it took what it took to get it where it is, and
it's kind of like a natural progression as you're introducing them in your head. You're actually introducing them in the book too, and as you're getting to know them, we're getting to know them. That's how you got to know them. Yeah, it's really good.
I don't write out the name like so-and-so, Russian intelligence, whatever, director, and then he is grumpy, he's overweight, he's like, I don't know any of that stuff, really. I just know their position, and then I start writing, and all that becomes clear as I get into the work.
Now I'll go through, and I don't know how to pronounce a lot of these names, and I just first thing comes to mind, and that's what it is, and it may not even be close to what, because then when you hear like Ray Porter read it, I was like, oh. Yeah. It's like, dang it.
No, that's me too. Because I see something and I never say it out loud. I just see the name written and I go, okay, that looks like that end of the name there, Popov. Okay, here, Khrushchev or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, I work out all the names, but I don't hear them out loud often until I hear Ray Porter say them either. So sometimes
like, who's he talking about? I was like, oh, that's
the first book, The Terminal List. I never said it out loud for like 2 years. And when the first time I said it out loud, I was like, oh, there's two next to each other, the terminal list, 2 L's. I'm like, well, that's kind of hard to say unless you really pronunciate the terminal list. So I never said it out loud, and I love the title, but I don't know if I'd said it out loud if I would have rethought it or not.
I don't know, man. I think it rolls off the tongue.
Terminal
list. Terminal list.
Terminal list, because it's the 2 L's. Sometimes you say it fast.
You just run it together.
Yeah.
It's 1 L.
Yeah, but oftentimes I don't know how to say a name either because I'm just seeing it. I'm not saying it or talking to anyone about it. I'm just typing away. So I'm in the same boat.
Yeah. So like, is it Rafe?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've been saying that right.
Nice. Awesome.
Yes, I've been saying Rafe. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so no spoilers there, but Rafe is in this book. So he's my favorite.
He's probably most people's. That's one of the main comments I get on social channels is who's going to play Rafe in True Believer? Who's going to play Rafe? Is he going to be in this spinoff? Like that sort of a thing. Why didn't you have him in the first book or in the first show on Amazon?
Yeah.
So I get that quite a bit, and most people, Rafe is a fan favorite. I put him, made him an interesting character, and his family background something exploring in possible future novels. So I did that very intentionally.
Well, with the TV series coming out, The Terminal List on Prime, I guess Ben became the fan favorite.
Yeah, I mean, for a certain segment of society, let's say moms who watched Friday Night Lights back in the day, have Taylor Kitsch take off his shirt on that sailboat there. You've won a large segment of the audience right there. So and Taylor's just amazing. Taylor's one of those. Well, Ben Edwards is one of those characters that I thought was much more fully developed in the show on Amazon Prime than in my novel. So that's one of the things I think that was done better in the TV series as far as character development goes, was that and what Taylor Kitsch brought to that role. So it just made sense to do a spinoff with him and show his backstory, the relationships between these characters back in the day, and how he transitioned from being a SEAL to the CIA, and how he turned bad type of show. So it's and the scripts are looking awesome. This thing's gonna.
Oh, I'll bet. Yeah. So for those who don't know, they're gonna do a spinoff. The Ben Edwards. They're gonna do like a prequel kind of deal.
Yep.
And how much did your wife have to do with them getting that going?
I think it was more. So I had an idea for a spinoff, and I wrote it all out. I came back from the premiere in LA mid-June or late June, and for whatever reason my wife and kids were gone, and so I sat down and I wrote out a series, and I wrote down a spinoff and 8 episodes and the whole thing, and just went all day and all night, and then before I really pitched it, Chris Pratt called and says, "Hey, I'm thinking about a spinoff," and I'm like, "Oh, me too." And he pitched his. I'm like, let's go with that one. And it was the Taylor Kitsch one. I'm like, it's much smarter to do that for sure. Character's already been introduced. People have questions about him. People want to know some backstory. So
right. What was your idea?
I'm gonna keep it.
You're gonna put that.
Yeah.
That in the pocket.
That's it.
I got you. Yeah. So I mean, there's no limit to the spinoffs that you can do with all the characters, and because you build the characters so well, you do the background stories on them so well, And just like they did, you were saying with the TV show with Prime, they kind of did a little bit better background on the Ben Edwards. So it just makes sense that they would do a spinoff with Ben.
Yeah, and this is great. What's great about this also is that people even that like the novel, there's not an option for them to be like this, opening it and like saying, okay, this is different. Okay, that's
yeah.
different. I hate this thing,
Right. Yeah.
That's not an option because there's not a book. So you're creating. It's based on my characters, but it's creating this backstory essentially out of whole cloth. There's a couple things that I've mentioned in books before that drive things forward, but the majority of it is being created out of whole cloth, and I'm creating that series with the showrunner David DiGilio from the Terminal List, and so we're creating this thing together. We have an amazing team working on it right now, and I'll write the finale episode, and I'm excited to start filming this thing.
I'll bet. So, where was I going with it? Anyway. So back
Amazon, True Believer after that. That's what's been announced thus far anyway, is that we roll this right into True Believer starring Chris Pratt and work on this. But in that one, Russia actually did invade Ukraine, so we have to change that one for people that want things to be exactly the same as the books. Like that's just not going to happen anyway, because you're telling a story visually, and there's a whole host of things that you can and can't do. But with True Believer, we definitely have to change some things at the end because Russia actually invaded Ukraine.
I know what I was going to say now. So I thought what was really genius of you was just for what you brought up earlier about people, this isn't like that. This isn't like the book. This is different than the book. Is you did that podcast, the Terminal List podcast, and you went and you were explaining the reasons why things were different and why you did it this way and what, why it made it better. And I thought that was genius. And for those who aren't aware, there's a podcast out there where Jack and you get is it Antoine on there some, and you get
David DiGilio, who's the showrunner.
DiGilio, that's who it is.
Jared Shaw is my buddy from the SEAL teams who gave the book to Chris. So three of us discuss each episode, kind of break it down.
Yeah.
And Chris comes in at the end, and final episode is a conversation with Chris about it. But yeah, Antoine's coming on at some point. He's been filming Equalizer 3 over in Italy, and he's so amazing. And Antoine is just so awesome. I got so fortunate with this team that we put together around this show and in this universe. Just such a great group of people and such amazing creative talents as well. So extremely fortunate. But the podcast was so much fun to do because it gave us a reason to get back together, and then also it was so cool Amazon, because once you like option these things, and I don't know if this is the case for everyone, but if you're an unknown entity, have never sold one book, and have not coming from politics or sports and don't have any social media presence, and that's what I was when Chris optioned it back in January of 2018, everything goes to that entity that options it, and so they had to give me the rights back to do that podcast, and they were so awesome about it.
Nice.
And MRC and it's just such a good team. It was such a wonderful experience, and I learned a ton too to be part of it, from that optioning period all the way through the finding the showrunner, and then me talking to that showrunner in December of 2019, and then talking every day since, and him bringing me in and really mentoring me along, and me learning this process, all phases of this process. I've learned so much and feel extremely fortunate that they.
I bet you're like a sponge. You're just soaking all that in.
Yeah, exactly.
What's one of the I guess maybe through that whole experience of taking the book and then taking it to the TV and getting it to the film and TV world, what's something that was surprising to you that you learned that maybe you weren't expecting? Maybe a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, a couple things. How similar it is to a military operation, and I didn't realize that till I walked on set. And you walk on set, and it's like, okay, here's Antoine as the commanding officer, and here's Chris Pratt, and that's like the strategic level leader, and here's Chris Pratt as that tactical level leader, setting the tone for everything else. And what do I have over here? An explosives expert, just like I have in the SEAL teams as a breacher. An armorer. Also, what I have in the SEAL teams. A mobility guy over here, also a position in the SEAL teams. A medic over here, also what I have in the SEAL teams. And a
mess hall over here, Crafty.
Food services, you got to feed the troops. Right. Logistics train right there. So all of these things were so similar, and I recognized that immediately. And we had a lot of military on set. It was like a SEAL reunion, especially that first episode. We had so many. in there playing SEALs. And then a lot of people and not just that cast, but the crew had military backgrounds as well. So it was a really cool experience. So I guess that was surprising that how similar it was to a military operation.
Tight ship.
And the other, and everyone is at the top of their game. They are the best at what they do, and that's why they're on a show like this. So that was pretty cool. Also surprising that, and this is more overall process, is that anything gets made in Hollywood, and two, that anything good gets made in Hollywood, because there are so many opportunities for things to go off the rails at all different levels. So you're just trying to keep this thing on the tracks, and everybody's trying to do the best job they possibly can and bringing their A game every day. And that's directly attributable to Antoine and to Chris, setting that tone, being so encouraging, mentoring everybody along, everybody showing up with a positive attitude, ready to crush each and every day. But I can see how it could be opposite. If you had like a crazy director or a crazy number one on the call sheet, how that would filter down, and people would be like, oh man, I got to go in and deal with this insanity again today. Oh my goodness. And that wasn't like it was. That wasn't this set. And I had so many people come up that didn't need to, that made a point of stopping me and saying, hey, I've been on hundreds of Hollywood sets and never once have I felt like this. There's something special about being on this set. And they didn't have to tell me that, but so many people came up. And also, so many people had touch points with the military, and I'd bring a big box of books to sign every time I was there. And they'd come up and say like, hey, my daughter's going to boot camp tomorrow, or my son's going on his first deployment, or whatever it was. And I'd sign books and do all that. So it was a really cool experience.
Nice. So with the books, the TV series, and the podcast, you've got the Danger Close podcast. You've been doing that is that 3 years now?
Third season now, yeah.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a lot more work than I thought. As you know, I did not know going into it, but I thought everybody said, "Oh, there's no barriers to entry. It's anybody can do it these days." And okay, so I got that roadie caster thing, and then I got a camera, and I figured out kind of how to set that up and press record here and press record here. That is it's important to know your limitations.
It is.
As 70s police a detective said once in a film. Important to know your limitations. That's my limitation.
Man's got to know his limitations.
Exactly. So I then brought Ironclad in. They're my podcast production company, and they handle all that technical stuff, which is extremely helpful. But it's still a lot of work. I've read every book from guests thus far, and I don't know if I can always be able to do that, but that's a lot of work. Then coming up with those questions, and what's been really cool about it is that I've wanted to read a lot of the books from guests I've had on, but just because there's so many things going on and I got to prioritize constantly, I probably would have pushed some to the side and not read them, because I would have been like, oh, that's not top priority right now. What's my 5-meter target? Okay, it's this. Okay, doing that. But I've been forced to read these books, and a lot of the things that I've learned have made it into the novels. So 1983, almost this exchange we almost had with the Soviet Union back in 1983, and this thing called the Roots memo that I talk about in the book that was recently classified again after it went through a multi-year declassification process for some reason, and I talk about that in the author's note. But so I get to weave all these things in, but that's because I had Brian Moore on the podcast, who wrote a book called The Able Archers, kind of fictionalizing this scenario that happened back in the early 80s. So there's things like that make it into the pages of the novels that wouldn't have had I not had a podcast.
Speaking of that, did I read somewhere that you're working on a nonfiction about the Beirut
Yep. So I was writing nonfiction, but nothing about like what I did in the SEAL team. So many people did so much more than I could ever hope to have done in the SEAL team. So my foray into nonfiction, I always wanted to write something about history. And if people follow me on Instagram or social media in general, they know that I talk about these different terrorist events as they come up on their anniversaries. I weave these things into my novels. So I always wanted to write nonfiction. Tom Clancy started doing that in the early 90s. In the 80s, it was all fiction. Then he continued that into the 90s, but he started writing these books, pairing up with someone who's a subject matter expert from the military in certain things like submarine, or I think one's called tank, one's called aircraft carrier. So we had a bunch of nonfiction books as well. So I wanted to do something like that. And for me, it was going to be about terrorism because that was a very impactful time of my life during the 80s when these different events were happening, whether it was the 1983 Beirut Barracks bombing, TWA 847, Achille Laurel, Pan Am 103. Some of my first memories are the 1979 Iranian hostage crisis. So I just remember all that, and I knew I was going into the military. And so I was interested in that, and I was reading all those things. And I remember Walter Cronkite counting down the days hostages were in Iran. But for me, that 1983 Beirut Barracks bombing, it still looms large over U.S. foreign policy, but it's also something that there's not the seminal work on it yet. There's not the seminal documentary. Can't point to the. I mean, there are books about it, and there are some documentaries here and there, but you can't point to the seminal work yet. And there's some newly declassified material from the Reagan White House that talks about what was going on behind the scenes and why these decisions were being made in the Oval Office, who's advocating to bring Marines ashore, who wanted to keep them on an ambush ship in the Med. And then it has a beginning with the embassy bombing in April of 1983. That leads into the October 83 Marine Beirut Barracks bombing. And there's a little bit of a conclusion where the mastermind of that attack is killed in Damascus, Syria in 2008. So over 20 years after the attack.
Oh, wow.
Was probably a joint CIA Mossad operation, I'm guessing. So there's that investigative journalism part to it too, out there with how he meets his demise in Damascus, Syria in 2008. So it's got all the elements, and I'm working on that right now with an amazing guy.
That would make a great documentary, yeah.
Yeah. So we're working on it right now, and it's James Scott. I'm working on it with him. He's a historian and a Pulitzer Prize finalist, amazing guy. And when I pitched it to Simon & Schuster, I said, hey, well, I want to do these one a year and have these come out in the fall. My James Reece series will come out in the spring. And so that's what the contract says. And then very soon after I started doing this research, I called them back and said, I know the contract says one a year, but it's going to be every 2 years, because to do it right, it really takes a lot of research.
I mean, come on, man, you're doing the James Reece series, you're doing the TV stuff, you're doing the podcast, you're going to throw another book in the mix, you're going to throw another TV series in the mix. I mean, where do you get the time for all of this, brother?
Well, it's prioritized, but I don't sleep that much, don't really eat very well, and certainly don't exercise much anymore. By exercise, I shouldn't say exercise. I mean, I go on walks with the dog, I ski with the kids, that sort of thing. But I'm not out there just like crushing it every morning and spending my hour and a half doing pull-ups and CrossFit, and then jumping in the cold bath thing, and then filming it a little bit for the gram, and then jumping in the sauna.
Filming it for the gram.
Hanging from my boots, and then having
the Joe Rogan stuff.
Because if I did all that stuff, I'd be once I finished that routine, I'd be about time to pick up the kids from school, so it's just not in the cards. So it's really just about prioritizing, and what now is the priority is the work, and I love it.
You do a like a preface on this, and you're talking about how James Reece has evolved, in each book, in each new novel, he's evolving, he's changing, he's turning into a different person. Do you liken that to yourself as you are furthering your career with the books, with the TV? I think we locked up. Are you still there? I think we lost him.
It looks like it from my end.
Our time was up.
Are you there?
Yes.
Oh, there you are. There you are. Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah,
I think I got most of the question.
Okay. So
he started to break up there a little bit, but I think I got most of it. But I think that's one of the reasons these books have resonated. One being that a lot of the feelings and emotions behind a lot of what I did downrange, I weave into the novel. So I don't have to go find a sniper from Ramadi, Iraq, back at the height of the war, and ask him a bunch of questions and then filter that through other interviews I've done, movies I've seen, other books I've read, and then apply it to a fictional narrative, all that feeling and emotion comes directly from my heart and soul directly onto the page. So I think that's one of the reasons that the books are resonating, because the feelings are so real, and that's because they are. And then the other reason I think is because James Reece is on a journey, and that's something that every single one of us on this planet has in common. We are all on a journey, and we're only here for a limited amount of time. But James Reece is learning, he's adapting, he has failures and he has successes, and he's learning from both, and he's applying all of it to future decisions in the form of wisdom, I hope. But I think that's why it's not just the same character that I pick up and then drop here in the next novel, pick up, drop in the next novel, who's got a certain skill set. No, he's learning and he's evolving, just like we all are, or I hope we all are, because it'd be tough making the same mistakes over and over and over again.
But say, just like it appears that you're evolving also with your writing, because I notice in each book the writing is a little different, but it adds a little something. There's something new each time, and it seems like you personally are evolving as a writer, as a creator, especially with spinning off into the TV world. I think we got a bad connection.
Oh no, I'm here.
There
you back?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I hope I'm evolving. That's the goal every time, is to write the next book.
I see it.
One, the next sentence to be better than the sentence before. I put as much thought into any sentence on Instagram or Twitter or a blog as goes into the book, because people are trusting me with this time, and they're never getting that time back. So that's something I take extremely seriously. So goal is always to be better, but then also to move the genre forward a little bit, even if it's just by a degree. I'm always thinking about that each and every time, because I am the direct beneficiary of all these thrillers that came before me, from Most Dangerous Game back in the early 20s to Rogue Male back in 1939 to First Blood in 1972 to Last of the Breed in the mid 80s. So I'm a beneficiary of all of that, and I study them not because I thought, oh, this was going to help me one day, but as a fan, just reading all those growing up, reading all these books by the masters, by Tom Clancy and Nelson DeMille and David Morrell and A.J. Quinnell and Stephen Hunter and Louis L'Amour and all these amazing authors. I learned as I was going through that, as I was reading, as I was enjoying it. So that's what my goal is today, is for people to open my books and have that same kind of magical reading experience that I had growing up. And I love what I do, and I want to move that forward just a little bit, just a tiny bit every time.
Yeah, well, you are breaking barriers that action thriller novelists have never broken before, and this new age of the streaming and all that, you've really done a really good job on capitalizing and bringing the novels to the the screen, and I can't wait to see you bring more of it to the Prime and the streaming. But I want to see some big screen stuff. Are there plans for a big screen?
Let's see. I think the best way to say it is I have a lot of ideas that are work. So
I'm constantly evolving. Is that's it? That's it. I dig it. Well, I know that I was supposed to keep it a tight 30 minutes, so I really appreciate it. Is there anything you want to leave our listeners with on the new book and your new projects? And I know you got like giveaways that you're doing each month too from your grams.
Yep. On the Instagram, I do a little as a thank you for people that are trusting me with that time that we talked about. So every the first Monday of every month, I try to do a giveaway. This one's going to be Thursday because the company dropping the item hasn't even announced it yet. So it'll drop with them on Thursday. So I'll start a giveaway Thursday on that as well. But just a little something I can do to say thank you to people for being on this journey with me. But a question I get a lot is about the audiobook. People always think, when does the audiobook drop? Same day as the hardcover. And yes, it is Ray Porter.
Oh, nice.
Again, and Ray Porter's been with me from the beginning as well, and he's just an amazing Shakespearean trained actor.
Fabulous.
Incredible guy. And so the audiobook drops same day as the hardcover on May 16th, and there's a book tour, so I'll be bouncing around the country here fairly soon, and hopefully I'll see people on the road. And once again, that's another way for me to say thank you, and that's kind of how I use my social media also, is hopefully to add value to people's lives throughout the year, but also as a way to say thank you for taking a risk on me as a new author, for telling a friend, for telling a family member, and just building essentially this grassroots readership before I was ever on Rogan or Tucker or anything, like before Chris even announced the series on his social media. So it hit the New York Times list before that, and that's all because people took a risk on me and then told a friend. So I love going on the road and shaking
grassroots
as we can and saying thank you to everybody for making this possible.
Of course, our mutual friend Jaeger, rest his soul. He played a big part in that grassroots early days.
He was the first guy to jump on his YouTube and his Instagram and hold up the book and say, I read this thing and I loved it. And him, if you knew him, you would know he would, if he hated it, he'd probably still hold it up, but he'd tell you he hated it. He was not gonna lie about it. So
he's got a new book out too. Did you?
Yep, I got it, and it's in the podcast studio. I talked about it on the podcast the other day.
I was looking for it. I've got mine around here somewhere.
Yeah, mine's in the podcast studio over there, so I can hold it up again. But what people didn't know him, and they just knew him from like a social media like personality or a saying a line that's
different, dude.
Yeah. Kind of push the buttons. He had the biggest heart of anybody. I just think.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was his online persona is what that was. But as one last thing, and I'm gonna let you go, I promise. I'm a big Thomas Magnum fan, Magnum PI fan, and when I was reading In the Blood, I picked up several references to Magnum PI. And I don't know, would we carry that over into this one as well?
Every book has a Magnum PI reference. Some
yes,
to discern than others, but every book has one. This one has some Magnum references, multiple in this one.
Okay, I gotta look for those.
There's one Lethal Weapon for Lethal Weapon fans, and I think I got a Bond in here too, but it's very slight. It's like you're gonna have to be a real Bond fan to find it. So yeah, there's a few little things like that I enjoy working into the novels as well.
Is Thomas Reece? Is that from Thomas Magnum? Is that where you got the Thomas?
I never say what they are.
Okay.
So,
and the guy from Alice, the computer, he's all dressed in the. I picked that one up, and
some are more overt than others.
Yeah, so I love that. So keep up the great work, Jack. Really appreciate you taking the time to be on. I know you got to go, but we would love to have you back. So
do it.
Anytime you want to come on, we'd love to have you on, buddy.
No, I appreciate that. Thanks for all the support, and it is sincerely appreciated. Keep crushing out there.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Brooksy, you want to say anything?
Hey, man, Jack,
good to see you.
Seeing you again. It's been a little while, but looking forward to speaking with you and possibly hanging out in the future.
I hope so. We do it sooner rather than later. And enjoy that semi-retirement.
Yeah, I will.
It's not going to be for long, that's for sure.
All right.
Leadheads, go check it out. Only the Dead drops, is it May 16th?
May 16th.
May 16th. You can pre-order now, and the audio is going to be out too. So awesome.
Keep up.
Perfect.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jack. Appreciate it, man. That was awesome.
See you soon. Yeah, man, that was awesome. Thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, man. I wish I would have seen you at NRA. We had the studio set up.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was done in the works. I couldn't make SHOT this year. I couldn't make DSC, SDI, NRA. Like, there's just so many projects going on right now that if I tried to do all that,
gotta pick and choose.
So it's gotta spend a little time with the family, Sure. So it's crazy. But
what about that Utah event out there in Utah? Have you ever been to it? Are you familiar with Utah?
Mm-mm.
So Utah Gun Fest, it's going to be May the 20th at Hobble Creek Shooting Range.
I will be on the road for book tour.
Yeah, I figured you probably were, but I think it's like their third year and it keeps getting bigger and bigger. They're trying to get me to come out there for it, so maybe next year. I just wanted to see if you're familiar with it.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it yet, but if things ever work into the schedule, or once all the kids are in college, maybe that'll open up some more opportunity to get out to those things or get back to a lot of them.
Yeah, very cool. All right, brother, I'll let you go. Thanks again.
Thanks so much. Take care.
All right, see you, buddy.
Bye.
You hang on, Chris.
All right.
I still want to talk to you. We're going to talk golf.
Okay.
Talking some golf. I'll let Jack get off there. That was a good interview.
He's always good. I mean, he's just so natural, and it's
He can talk
he's
about
just,
anything.
he's always been so humble. I mean, that's one thing that I have always enjoyed about him. I met him years ago, and we were going to work on a project together. It's right when he was starting Terminal List, and he came
Is
to
this
visit.
stuff you want recorded? Because I'm recording.
Yeah, that's not a big
Okay,
deal.
cool. All right, cool. I want to put it in the show.
Yeah, so and it was just when I met him, the funny thing about SEALs, I mean, and a bunch of them, is they're just the most down to earth guys, and you expect for them to be like these crazy dudes. I mean, granted, their jobs are beyond what a pedestrian can imagine, but they're just the most humble, coolest guys that you'll ever meet, and you're happy that they're on your side.
Yeah, I'm going to say most, because I hate to be an absolutist, but most every SEAL or special ops guy that I've met has been nothing but humble and cool and, funny. Most of them have a very good sense of humor too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's just such a blessing to be friends with a bunch of those guys and get to learn, their lifestyles and their personalities and everything.
Yeah. And, Jack, being the success that he's had is, beyond belief. And it's, people say he's lucky and all this, but this is a plan he's had, since his early childhood. So he's been planning and prepping for this his entire life.
Yeah.
And, it's not luck. He's made strategic moves throughout his life to make this happen. And, I mean, that was one of the things that I wanted to ask him too, as far as this, the celebrity that he's gained, which seems like it's overnight, but again, it wasn't. He's been working hard on this. Maybe what's the most unexpected perk of celebrity, kind of deal. But I didn't want to be a fanboy, so
yeah, and
I didn't ask that.
I was going to ask him a few questions as well, but yeah, that was along the same lines as one of the questions I was going to ask. Is this what you expected?
Yeah.
I know that when you go in tactically, you've planned this thing out for such a long time that you expect a little bit, but would you have expected this?
Yeah, but I don't think he's had time to really for it to sink in, the celebrity that he has and is gaining right now. He doesn't have time. Obviously, look at all the things he's got going on. He just keeps taking one thing on after the other. So it's nonstop for him. So he doesn't stop I don't think he's really had an opportunity to stop and it just sink in, kind of deal.
Right. Well, I mean, think of like how busy you and I have been in our lives, and I can't even imagine that this
nothing compared to what he's been.
Touches his,
Yeah. I'm a lazy slob compared to him.
I know. It's like, what are you talking about? You watched a baseball game.
Yeah, what are you talking about? You got to play golf.
Right. There's no
Doesn't that take like all day to play a game of golf?
Yeah, sometimes. But yeah, it's insane the amount of waking hours and discipline that somebody like that has.
Yeah. With the novel, we've had him on before, and he's talked about his writing habits with just that one novel, and then think about adding a TV series on top of that, and then a second TV series, and then another nonfiction series of novels that he's going to start doing. And no telling, what else. His podcast, he's got, he was doing 2 podcasts there for a while. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I'm lazy. I'm just lazy, I guess. I don't know. Or I need more people helping me out. Maybe that's what it is. I could probably do more if I had more people.
Yeah, true. I mean, he's got a great team behind him, and obviously a lot of that comes along with your success.
Yeah, and he seems to have great family support too, and that's got to be key.
You have to. I mean, in his case, his wife has to be behind him 100%, or this just wouldn't work out. One of them wouldn't work out, marriage or career.
Right. Yeah. So I wonder how much she's involved with the career stuff. I don't know. None of our business, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just leave that alone.
Yeah.
All right, Leadheads, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Jack Carr. Again, make sure you go out, and if you haven't got his previous books, I think they sell them in like packages now. You can get them all together. But Only the Dead is out, and I haven't finished it yet. Like I said, I'm like chapter 36, and just got finished with an awesome battle scene, and they're building up to another one here. And I'm not even halfway through it yet, chapter 36. I mean, this is a big book. It's a big read. I've got the hardback cover, and let's see how many pages we got here. Counting the glossary and everything, because I like that too, because he goes in and he puts a glossary and tells you what everything means. 564 pages.
It's a big book.
Yeah, and I'm a slow reader. I really want the Ray Porter version. The last two books, I did do the audio versions of them, even though I did get the hardbacks, but I listened to them on audio just because I don't like hearing my voice in my head.
Right.
You know, and trying to figure out, again, saying names and figuring out, all this stuff. But listening to Ray Porter does it, he does the accents. If it's a Russian guy, he put a Russian accent to it. Or it's a little creepy when he does the female voices, though. It makes me think of some of those trannies out there. But
yeah, some of
those men trying to play women's sports.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
Oh, but no, it's excellent. So check it out, Leadheads. What was it called again? Only the Dead. I was going to say In the Blood again. That was the one previous. But NRA interviews are going to be dropping too. So after this one, I've got another lineup of interviews scheduled. Let's see who I've got. Last interview we had, or last episode we had Huxworks, talked about their new 3D printed suppressors. We had Tim with Tactical Walls, talked about the concealment furniture that they have. We had Raphael and Mariana with Bursa USA, and they have released their own AR. So they've got a Bursa AR. They call it the BAR, the bar 15. They've got a 223 and a 300 blackout, and they've got a 9mm also that they've released. And we had sponsors of the show, Seal One, Dwight Settle, and he was talking about their new pistol and rifle rod kits that they have. So go to their website, seal1.com, use that code LEADHEAD, and you're going to get 25% off those new rod kits. I know several of you have already bought those because Dwight has let me know. He lets me know whenever you guys use that code. So go use these codes that we give you. That's how these sponsors know that it's working sponsoring this show. That's how they do it. They expect, you guys to go and buy this stuff. And I don't push and promote anything that I haven't used personally myself. So I've used Seal One for many years now. Absolutely love it. And I stand by it 100%. And these new rod kits that they've got too, some of the strongest rods that I've seen together, especially that handle that they've got on it. I wish I had one here. I think it's in the garage. No, actually, I gave mine away at NRA. He gave me one at NRA, and I gave it away to somebody. So I'll have to get another one of those. But absolutely 100% first-rate products from there, from Mission First Tactical, their AR products, accessories. I've built several ARs using their rails, their butt stocks, their grips, and, of course, their magazines. I love their magazines, especially when I can custom print anything on there that I want on those magazines. Their AR-15, their AR-10 magazines, Mission First Tactical, their holsters, the new belly band holster. I really like my belly band holster, especially during the summertime because it's a little more comfortable than, doing my appendix carry, hard holster. I can just throw a beach shirt on over it, throw my belly band on, and not have to worry about it. It doesn't imprint. Very lightweight. Go check them out. Mission First Tactical. Leadhead, 20% off there. And Defiant Munitions for high quality ammo. They've got a lot of the 4570 that they're making right now. So if you got a 4570, now's the time to go load up on that, because sometimes that's hard to find. They're going to be cranking out some more 223. I know they're low on stock right now, the 223. They've got the 9mm in stock and the 7.62 by 3.9. So Defiant Munitions, 10% off, all caps lead head. You're going to get that discount. Lockdown. You see my wall I got back here with my guns on display, Brooksy?
I do.
That's from Lockdown. They've got the nice display walls there, easy to install, and it's the peg system. But they've got their own pegs so that they actually lock into place. It's not just that little hook and then it just hangs, from gravity. They've actually got a lock-in system on their hook systems, and they got a variety of different ones. They've got shelves, they've got the pegs, they've got the rifle holders. So go check them out. Go to Lockdown, use the code LEADHEAD, 15% off there. And then Kraken cases. I got my book in it right now. I've got one of their smaller cases. It's the pistol case. They've got a rifle case out now, the Sigma. That's going to be part of that giveaway that we're doing coming up, is that big, awesome Sigma rifle case that has their memory foam in it, the Kraken Case Company. Go check them out. Talking Lead, 10% off any of their cases there. They've got a smaller one that's for your iPro or smaller items that you want to carry. And then they've got, that's called the Prometheus, I think. I'm going to screw up Icarus. It's called the Icarus. I'm going to screw up all these names. But go to their website, krakencases.com, Talking Lead, 10% off. And then, of course, Keltec, go there, use the code LEADHEAD. You're going to get 15% off anything there. And then for your medical supplies, you want to build a medical kit, you want to get one already made, you go to Medicine in Bad Places and use the code LEADHEAD or LEADHEAD20. I don't know which one. It might be both. It's either LEADHEAD or LEADHEAD20, and you get 20% off. So yeah, I screwed it up one time, Brooksy. It was LEADHEAD20, and then I made this big Instagram post and said it was LEADHEAD. So he went, he went and changed it. So I don't know if he made them both good or if he changed it to LEADHEAD, but try either one of those. One of those is going to work. You're going to get 20% off Medicine in Bad Places. And that's all we got right now. So if I miss somebody, I apologize, but we got all kinds of codes. So if you're looking for a code for something or a discount, let me know, and I'll see if I can't get something worked out with one of these companies. And hopefully Brooksy's going to be a new company soon and giving us some discounts.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Looking forward to that. Why don't you come visit me while you're retired, man? Come down here in Tennessee.
I've actually been thinking about it. I've talked to Bildo a few times and, trying to figure out a way to get out that way and get some visiting in.
Well, let's make it happen. Let's talk about it. Let's work some things out.
You're in one of my favorite areas, so see about getting out there.
I thought you were going to say I'm one of your favorite people.
No.
Too much to hope for.
Right. That's right. Boundaries.
All right, lead heads. Until the next episode, as always, keep your loved ones close.
And your firearms closer.
Perfect.
Almost missed it.
Nailed it. All right, I'm going to stop recording. Oh, thank God I had the video recording.